The night was thick with tension, the kind that prickled at the skin and made the air feel heavy. Victoria Langford, CEO of Langford Enterprises, had built her life on precision, control, and power. Her office, perched high above the city in a tower of glass and steel, reflected her success in cold, flawless lines. Tonight, however, that illusion shattered. As she fumbled with her phone, trying to reach the authorities, a masked intruder lunged at her, sending her sprawling against the polished floor. "Please, don't hurt me." "I can't move," she screamed, panic clawing at her throat. Her heels had slipped on the marble, and her ankle throbbed sharply. She was trapped, physically and emotionally. Just when despair threatened to swallow her, the sound of firm footsteps echoed down the corridor. A man appeared, a stranger with calm authority, broad shoulders, and eyes that radiated a quiet strength. He moved with precision, taking down the intruder in moments that felt like both eternity and a blink. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, his voice warm and steady, yet layered with concern. Victoria could only nod, her pride and composure shattered. He introduced himself as Marcus Reed, a single father who lived just a few blocks away. She had never met anyone like him. Someone who radiated security, not through status or wealth, but through sheer presence. Victoria's mind, accustomed to boardrooms and power plays, could hardly process how a man like Marcus could simply appear and rescue her from chaos. As paramedics arrived and the intruder was escorted away, Victoria found herself staring at Marcus, the adrenaline slowly leaving her system, leaving an unfamiliar sense of vulnerability in its wake. She knew nothing about this man, yet the thought of returning to her penthouse alone that night felt impossible. She followed Marcus to his car, driven by some irrational impulse, and as the city lights blurred past, she felt the first flicker of trust she hadn't felt in years. Before we dive deeper, smash that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss a single twist of this story. Victoria arrived at Marcus's modest apartment, a stark contrast to her sleek high-rise life. The walls were lined with framed photos of a young boy, a boy who couldn't have been more than 8, and yet he radiated warmth through the pictures. Marcus prepared tea with a casual familiarity that unsettled her. She wasn't used to people caring about the little details. "You don't have to do this," she said, her voice laced with skepticism, though her body betrayed her exhaustion as she sank into the couch. Marcus simply smiled, handing her a cup. "I know," he said, "but I don't like people being left alone when they're scared." Victoria's mind raced. How could a man with so little connection to her life feel such instinctive concern? Over the next few hours, she shared her story, careful not to reveal the vulnerabilities that could ruin her professional reputation. Yet Marcus listened with patience, never interrupting, never judging, and occasionally offering quiet wisdom that made her see things differently. For the first time in her adult life, Victoria felt seen, not as a CEO, not as a symbol of wealth, but as a human being. Marcus's son Jordan, shy at first, soon joined them, offering her a cookie and a toothy grin. Victoria's heart, hardened from years of corporate battles, softened in ways she didn't expect. In those simple gestures, preparing tea, offering a cookie, sharing a laugh, Victoria realized she had been missing something crucial: connection. She had chased power and control her entire life, yet in a small apartment filled with love and warmth, she found a sense of peace she hadn't known existed. The tension between them was undeniable, a magnetic pull that neither could ignore. Late that night, Victoria lingered at the door, hesitant to return to her empty penthouse. Marcus stepped forward, gently holding her arm. "You're welcome here any time," he said. It wasn't just an invitation, it was a lifeline. As Victoria closed the door behind her, she realized that her life, carefully constructed and meticulously controlled, might never feel the same again. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions Victoria had long suppressed. Work called incessantly, demanding her attention, yet she found herself thinking of Marcus and Jordan, of the quiet apartment where laughter echoed and worries melted into care. Marcus, too, balanced his responsibilities as a father while showing her patience she didn't deserve but desperately needed. One afternoon, Victoria returned to his apartment, After a particularly grueling board meeting, her heels clicking a rhythm of exhaustion, Marcus opened the door, hands full of groceries, smiling despite the chaos. "You look tired," he said simply. His concern wasn't condescending, it was honest, steady, and comforting. Victoria felt an unfamiliar vulnerability in admitting, even silently to herself, that she needed this, needed them. Over dinner they shared stories of their pasts, the heartbreaks and struggles that had shaped them. Marcus spoke candidly about raising Jordan alone, about the sacrifices and fears that never left him. Victoria found herself laughing at moments, crying at others, and through it all, realizing that this connection, genuine and raw, was something she had never experienced in her polished, corporate world. Slowly, the walls Victoria had built began to crumble. She allowed herself to rest, to feel, to hope. Marcus didn't rush her. He simply existed as a steady presence, proving through small acts of care that trust wasn't a commodity. It was earned in moments of shared vulnerability. One rainy evening, as they watched Jordan splash in puddles outside, Victoria's hand brushed against Marcus's. Neither pulled away. Instead, they held it, two worlds colliding gently, quietly, without a need for words. The power she wielded in boardrooms felt meaningless compared to the quiet strength of the life unfolding before her. Love, she realized, was not a strategy, nor a reward. It was a choice, offered freely and courageously. And for the first time, Victoria considered that perhaps the man who rescued her that night wasn't just saving her from a physical threat, but from the loneliness that had haunted her entire existence. Weeks turned into months, and Victoria's world had irrevocably changed. Her office, once the epicenter of her universe, now felt distant, almost alien. The meetings, the power plays, the relentless pursuit of control. It all seemed trivial compared to the warmth she experienced with Marcus and Jordan. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, casting a golden glow over the apartment, Victoria watched Marcus and Jordan laughing over a puzzle on the floor. She realized she no longer feared vulnerability. She had found strength in it. Marcus turned to her, eyes soft, holding her hands with a quiet certainty. "You're not alone anymore," he said simply. And she believed him fully, without reservation. In that moment, Victoria understood that life's greatest power was not dominance or wealth, but connection and love, the kind that transforms, redeems, and heals. She leaned into Marcus, feeling the barriers she had carried her entire life dissolve into laughter, tears, and shared hope. The CEO who once ruled her world with fear and precision had been replaced by a woman who knew what it meant to trust, to love, and to be loved in return. As they stood together, hand in hand, Victoria knew that whatever storms lay ahead, she would face them with courage, anchored by the man who had turned her world around. And to everyone watching this story unfold, don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this incredible journey, because stories like this remind us that love can appear in the most unexpected places, rewriting our lives in ways we never imagined.